चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरू श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। श्रीमतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवण कीर्तनं हृद्यन्तस्व भद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतां। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। सर्वशास्त्राभिपीयूष सर्ववैदिक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाध्य सर्वलौकिक दृक्प्रद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवतो प्रभु कलिदन्तोतितादित्य श्रीकृष्ण परिवर्तित परमानंद पाथाय प्रेम वर्ष अक्षराय ते सर्वद सर्वसेवाय श्रीकृष्णाय नमोस्तुते। मद एक बंधु मद संगिन मद गुरुन् मद महाधन मद निष्ठारक मन भाग्य मद आनंद नमोस्तुते। असाधु साधु तादाइन अति नीच ताकरा हा नामुंचा कदाचिन माम प्रेम न हृत कंथयो स्फुरः। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Okay, Hare Krishna everyone. So today we are going to start off with the chapter 2 of the fourth canto. The chapter is titled Daksha Curses Lord Shiva. Right. So now from this chapter until next 5-6 chapters is all on this Leela of Daksha up to chapter number 7. So chapter 2 to chapter 7 is this Daksha and Lord Shiva pastime. Okay. Now how did we come to this? So in the fourth canto, first chapter, we actually read about uh, like in we are reading about the lineage coming from Swayambhuva Manu, right? So we read about one daughter, Devahuti, which was in third canto, and then in fourth canto, part chapter 1, we read about Akuti and Prasuti. And then when we are reading about Prasuti, then Maitreya Rishi actually explained that one of the daughters of Prasuti is Sati. And then he's actually explaining how the different daughters they got married to different personalities. And then he mentions that how Sati got married to Lord Shiva. And in case of the remaining daughters is important. In case of the remaining daughters, he actually mentioned how they had descendants. Right. So he mentioned that how when Swadha she actually married the Pitas, then they had two daughters, Vayuna and Dharini, etc., etc. Right. So he mentioned the offsprings, the descendants from Prasuti, daughter getting married, and the descendants after that. But then, when he actually mentioned about Sati and Lord Shiva, then he mentioned that they did not have any child. And why they did not have any child? Well, he just referred to the point that how Sati, before they had the opportunities, before she attained mature age, she actually gave up her body because of Daksha offending Lord Shiva. Now, when Maitreya Rishi mentioned that, how Daksha offended Lord Shiva, then Vidura is thinking that how is it possible? Daksha is the head of the Prajapatis, right? Lord Shiva is a person who is such a great personality that he is considered spotless in his character. So how can someone who is as great as Daksha, as the head of the progenitors, who is actually directly created by Brahma, actually offend someone who is spotless in character? How did that episode take place? And that's how this chapter starts off by Vidura asking this question and saying, like, how is it possible? And this leads on to the entire pastime, which is 5 chapters, as I mentioned. So 4.2 to 4.7 is this entire Daksha and Shiva pastime. Okay. Everyone okay? Everyone with me? And if you can turn on your cameras, please do so. Anyone has any points so far, or everyone with me? Okay, everyone good to proceed? Start with text one? Yes? Yes, no, yes, no. Please wake up. Okay, let's start. Ratnaladika, can you read?
Text 1. Vidura Uvacha Bhave Shiravatam Shrishte Daksho Duhitri Vatsalaha Vidvesham Akarot Kashmad Anadrityatmajam Satim. Anyone can read the translation? I'll put the list soon.
Vidura inquired, why was Daksha, who was so affectionate towards his daughter, envious of Lord Shiva, who is the best among the gentle? Why did he neglect his daughter Sati? Hare Krishna.
Okay, so here's the question. So now it says Vidura Uvacha. As I mentioned, Vidura is curious to know how is it even possible? And then he asks by saying how Bhave Shilavatam Shrestha. So here Bhave referring to Lord Shiva himself. And then Shilavatam is actually means one who is gentle. Shrestha means the best of those who are gentle. So he's glorifying Lord Shiva as that personality who's the best of all gentle personalities. And then further he says, Daksha Duritra Vatsala. Daksha referring to Daksha himself. Duritra Vatsala means like how we say Bhakta Vatsala. Lord Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala. He's so dear to his devotees. And then here he's saying Daksha, who is so dear to his daughter, Dvitra's daughter. Daksha, who is so affectionate to his daughter. So the point is that Daksha offended Lord Shiva. So Vidura is wondering that if Daksha was so dear to his daughter, why did he not stop his daughter from giving up her body? Like, what was that circumstance that even though someone is a father so affectionate to his daughter, did not stop his daughter from giving up her body? Right? So Daksha Durita Vatsala. And then he says, Vide Vesam Akarot Kasmat. Why did he, right? Kasmat, why? Why, what? And 2 points. First, why did he exhibit enmity to Lord Shiva? And second, Anadritya Atmajam Sati. Why did he neglect his own daughter? So these are the 2 points he says. Kasmat, why he accepted enmity to Lord Shiva and why he neglected his daughter. Right? So that's the first question. And in the purport, Prabhupada actually glorifies Lord Shiva. He gives 4 different points as glorification of Lord Shiva. Then why Lord Shiva is the best of all gentle people, right? Like that's the verse, right? He is actually said here as Shilavatam Shrestha. So why is he? And the first point Prabhupada actually says that he is not envious of anyone, right? And second, he is equal to all living entities. Third, all other good qualities, all good qualities are present in Lord Shiva. And fourth, no one can be an enemy of Lord Shiva. He's so peaceful and he's so renounced, right? He's detached from all worldly things. Not only that, he himself lives under a tree. He does not even construct a house. He's so renounced. So imagine a person so peaceful, so renounced, right? That he does not have any enemies. No one can be an enemy of Lord Shiva. He has all the good qualities. And also he's equal to all living entities. There's no question of envy in Lord Shiva, right? So these are qualities of Lord Shiva. And because of these qualities, Prabhupada says he's the best of all gentle. Right? The best of all gentle. I mean, this point about why Prabhupada is stressing that Lord Shiva is not envious of anyone. And we will see that, how Daksha, he becomes envious of Lord Shiva, right? So, okay. So, comparison between Daksha and Shiva's character. So, text 2.
Kastam charachara gurum nirvairam shanta vigraham atma ramam katam dveshti jagato daivatam mahat.
You can go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Lord Shiva, the spiritual master of the entire world, is free from enmity. He is a peaceful personality and is always satisfied in himself. He is the greatest among the demigods. How is it possible that Daksha could be inimical towards such an auspicious personality?
So further here it says, Kastvam, how is it that Lord Shiva, who is what? Charachara Guru. Guru means spiritual master. Now he's a spiritual master of Charachara means animate and inanimate. That basically he is a spiritual master of the whole world. Right? And then further next point he says Nirvairam. Nirvairam again without enmity. Right? So even in previous verse Prabhupada actually explained this point that how Lord Shiva no one can be an enemy of Lord Shiva. So further here he's actually saying this verse is basically saying why no one can be an enemy, why Lord Shiva should not have any enemies, because he's a spiritual master of the whole world. Now, if someone is a guru of the whole world, a guru is a person who always desires the best for the disciple. Now, Daksha is also, though he is the best of all progenitors, but still he is one of these personalities in the Chara Achara. So even for him, uh, um, Lord Shiva is actually the guru. Then why would Daksha actually have enmity towards Lord Shiva, right? Then so Nirvaira means without enmity. Then Shanta Vigraham. So one way Prabhupada already mentioned these points in the purport. Here in the next verse is actually saying Shanta means peaceful. Vigraha means personality. Very peaceful personality. Lord Shiva is not disturbed at all. And we'll see even in today's episode how when there's cursing and counter cursing going on and how Lord Shiva is like totally undisturbed. Undisturbed. He's so peaceful in personality, right? And why is he so peaceful? How can he be so undisturbed? Because Atma Avama. He's satisfied within himself. Right? And then Jagata Daivata Mahat. He's the greatest among all Daivas, I mean demigods. He's the greatest of all demigods. So if you see these 2 points, the point that he's the spiritual master of both moving and non-moving, spiritual master of the entire world, and then second point, how he's the greatest of all demigods. Considering these 2 points, one may say, hence the question is, Kaha, who, and Katham, how is it possible for anyone to hate such a personality? How is it possible that Daksha actually hated Lord Shiva? Right? Having all these qualities, how is it possible anyone can hate Lord Shiva? Right? So Prabhupada in purport further elaborates, and he says how Lord Shiva's another name is Bhutanatha. Right? Bhutanatha. Why Bhutanatha? Because he's a worshipful deity of all the dull-headed and ghost. Right? See, Lord Shiva's character is so great that he actually takes charge of reforming those people who are the lowest, like the ghosts and the demons, right? So Lord Shiva, one way, he is so merciful that he is thinking that these people, the ghosts and the demons, who is their shelter? I will give them shelter. I will be merciful to them. He is so merciful, and hence he's actually considered the best of all Vaishnavas, because he is actually giving his mercy to those who are the most fallen, right? The ghost and the demon. So not only he is giving shelter to the most fallen, but he is also reforming the highly learned personalities because Lord Shiva, he himself has a parampara called the Rudra Sampradaya. So he himself is a Vaishnava, and he is the head of a Vaishnava Sampradaya. So what does this mean? Lord Shiva is the head of a Vaishnava Sampradaya. He is giving his mercy to the Vaishnavas. At the same time, Lord Shiva is the giving mercy to the most fallen. Hence, from the most fallen to all the Vaishnavas, Lord Shiva is the spiritual master. And hence, because he is so merciful to everyone, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. He is the best of all Vaishnavas. Right? Now, if such a personality, who is the best of all Vaishnavas, showing mercy to everyone from the whole spectrum of personalities, then who can be envious of such a person? Who can be an enmity? Who can have enmity to such a person? Hmm? And then Prabhupada concludes with, and this verse says, how is it possible Daksha could be inimical towards such an auspicious personality? Like Shiva itself, the word Shiva means auspicious, right? So if the name of a person is auspicious and he's creating auspiciousness everywhere, how can Daksha be inimical towards such a personality? Now, see, our nature is that and this is all around the world, even in spiritual organizations, even in church, right? As soon as someone is elevated to a position of like a manager, or like he's in charge of a church or a priest, as soon as that position comes, immediately what do we think? Oh, because he has that position, he is actually so elevated, right? And one way that should be the case. But here, if you see Daksha is actually the head of the progenitors. So one may think like Daksha, imagine Brahma wouldn't appoint anyone as the head of the progenitor. So certainly he must have that quality to see the glories of Lord Shiva. Otherwise, how can he be the head of the progenitors? So how he actually became envious of Lord Shiva. Right? So further, text 3.
Etad atyai me brahman jamatu shvashurasya cha vidveshastu yata pranams tatyaje dushtaya jan sati.
My dear Maitreya, to part with one's life is very difficult. Would you kindly explain to me how such a son-in-law and father-in-law could quarrel so bitterly that the great goddess Sati could give up her life? Hare
Right?
Krishna.
So Brahmana, he's saying, Vidura is addressing Maitreya Rishi, and thus, I have put up all my reasons. Therefore, you tell me what, Akhyai, please tell me, Yataha pranan tyajate dushtan. The cause why Sati gave up her life. And Yataha pranan tyajate, it's actually very difficult to give up one's own life. Everyone, what we want to, like, whatever situation happens, the first thing is like, how can I save myself? Even if someone is attached to property related, first is like, my life, I have to save my life. So it's so difficult for someone to give up his own life. And how did that great goddess Sati give up her own life? What could be the quarrel between here it says Swasurasya, the father-in-law, and Jamatuhu? I mean, I think in some Indic languages also, they use this word Jamatuhu as son-in-law. So they basically here is saying what could be that fight between the father-in-law and son-in-law that the daughter actually gave up her life, which is actually so difficult for one to give up. Okay. Now, so the first 3 verses are Vidura's question. Okay. Now we'll see what is Maitreya Rishi's answer. Text number 4.
Maitreya uvacha pura vishvasrijam satre समेता परमर्षयः तथा मरागना सर्वे सनुगा मुनयो ज्ञयः.
Hare Krishna. 4 to 4. The sage Maitreya said, in a former time, the leaders of the universal creation performed a great sacrifice in which all the great sages, philosophers, demigods, and fire gods assembled with their followers. Hare Krishna.
So now Maitreya Rishi, he's starting the whole history of this pastime, which is 5 chapters of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So now he's saying Maitreya was Pura, in a former time. You know how we say, once upon a time, so and so happened. So similarly here, he's saying Pura, in once upon a time. What happened? In the time of what? Swayambhuva Manu. Right, so proper in the word to word, he says Pura means formally at the time of Swayambhuva Manu. So history we are saying, but giving a reference of what history we are talking of. We are talking of the first Manvantara, right? The head of that is Swayambhuva Manu. So in that Manvantara, what happened? Vishwa Srijam Satre Sametaha. So Vishwa Sridham referred to the creators of the universe. They actually Sametaha. They assemble to do what? A Satre, a sacrifice. Right? They assemble to perform a sacrifice. And who was present there? Parama Rishaya. Rishi means sages. Parama Rishaya means the great sages. Now it is important to actually understand this, that why all these are actually mentioned. One is Parama Rishaya, great sages. Then Amara Ganaha, the demigods. Sa Anugaha, with their followers. Munayaha, the philosophers. Agnayaha, the fire gods. Right? Prabhupada actually gives examples as Marichi, Daksha, Vashishta, Brahma, Lord Shiva, the demigods Indra, and the fire gods, fire gods. All of them were actually present in that sacrifice. Now, why is this actually important? Because later on, just in few verses, we'll see how Daksha, he's going to blaspheme Lord Shiva. And is he coming in private and saying, oh, Lord Shiva, you're this, you're this, you're this? No, he is actually blaspheming in front of all these personalities, in front of the great sages, in front of the demigods, in front of the followers, the philosophers, the fire gods, in front of all of these personalities, he's going to speak ill of Lord Shiva. Okay, text 5. Okay, maybe devotees can read the Sanskrit also. Who's on the list?
Hare Krishna. Tatra pravishtam rasyo dishtavarkam iva rochita brajamanam vitimiram kurvantam tan mahat sadha.
Translation.
When Daksha, the leader of Prajapatis, entered that assembly, his personal bodily lustre as bright as the effulgence of the sun, the entire assembly was illuminated, and all the assembled personalities became insignificant in his presence. Hare Krishna.
So, see, now, consider yourself. Imagine you are in that assembly. All these great personalities are there, right? And everyone knows who is the leader of Prajapatis? Daksha. And as soon as Daksha enters, what is said here? Tatra Pravishtam. There having entered Daksha, the leader of Prajapatis, Rishaya Drishte. All the sages were seeing, oh, Daksha has entered. And how did they all notice Daksha entering that big assembly? Arkam Eva. And they saw just like the sun, he was so Rochisha Brajamanam, his personally bodily luster, he was shining, just like the sun. Imagine the assembly and someone enters who is, shining like the sun. And then it said further, Vitimiram Kurvantam, making the entire great assembly free from darkness. It basically means that it appeared that everyone else seemed insignificant in front of Daksha. It's like, wow, so brilliant personality that everyone else said, like, oh, what is our position in front of him? He is so great. He is so great. Right? And think about this. Like, we are in the assembly, all these great personalities. Brahma himself is there, Lord Shiva is there, and then Daksha enters, like just like shining like the sun. Right? Okay. Text 6.
Hare Krishna. Udatiष्ठन् सदस्यास्ते स्वधिष्णेभ्य सहाज्ञयः ऋते विरिञ्चां शर्वं च तद्भासाक्षिप्तचेतसः. Influenced by his personal bodily luster, all the fire gods and other participants in that great assembly, with the exceptions of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, gave up their own sitting places and stood in respect for Daksha.
So Udatishtan, right? Udatishtan means stood up, right? Sadasya te swadishnebhya. So all the members of the assembly, they stood up from their seats. And then further it says, Saha Agneya. Why does it refer even the fire gods? Because see, we talked of Daksha so effulgent that he was more effulgent than even the fire gods. Now, fire gods, they are the personification of the fire, right? But even they were like, oh, Daksha so effulgent. Rite, except two personalities. Who? Virincha. Virincha, we know, is referred to Brahma, right? Brahma is Virincha. And then Sharvam. Sharvam is referring to Lord Shiva. So except Brahma and Lord Shiva, all the other personalities, including the fire gods, they got up from their seat and they stood up. Why? Because all of them were bhasa akshipta chetasa. Their mind was actually, almost like, what's the word? Influence. The mind was influenced like, wow, such a great personality. So effulgent is this personality that they all stood up, out of respect. Okay? So, text 7.
तदसस्पतिभिर्दक्षो भगवान् साधु सुकृतः अजं सलोक गुरुं नत्वा निशसाद तदाज्ञया. Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Daksha was adequately welcomed by the president of the great assembly, Lord Brahma. After offering Lord Brahma respect, Daksha, by the order of Brahma, properly took his seat. Hare Krishna.
So Sadasya Patibi Daksha. And here what is Daksha referred as? Bhagavan. See, Bhagavan, normally we refer Bhagavan as one who possesses opulences. Now in Bhagavatam is interesting, sometimes even Narad Muni is actually referred as Bhagwan Narada. Right? Why are these personalities called Bhagavan? Well, Bhagavan, actually the true title of Bhagavan, the possessor of all 6 opulences, is Vishnu, Krishna. Right? He is Bhagavan. But why are these personalities referred to as Bhagavan? Why is Daksha referred to as Bhagavan here? Would anyone like to say?
Because he was very opulent.
Okay. So the point is, yes, he's opulent. Yes, no doubt about it. But the Bhagavatam is referring to those personalities as opulence because it is almost they are showing the opulence of the true Bhagavan. See, Bhagavan is a possessor of all opulences and he has given opulence, a particular opulence to a personality, and hence that personality is like, because you have been blessed with so much opulence by Vishnu himself, hence you are given the title Bhagavan. Right? Just like in a company, a president may give, what's the right word? Like authority of, a particular whole, maybe a department or a whole a part of the company to some person. And because that person has given so much authority by the president, that person may be referred to as, oh, he's as good as the president because the president has given him that authority, right? So similarly here, Daksha is called Bhagwan because he's possessing that opulence. And what is the opulence? Here, the opulence of being the leader of the Prajapatis, so great, and having that effulgence, like being so bright that everyone is giving respect to him. And then here he says, Sadhu Satkritaha. So all the personalities there, they actually gave respect and welcomed Daksha, right? Ajam Loka Guru, right? And when you see Aja, that's referring to Brahma. Brahma is unborn. Why is he said unborn? Because he's not born from like a father and mother. He just appeared on top of a lotus. So Aja Lokam Guru. Brahma, who is the Loka Guru, the teacher of the universe, Daksha actually, he said, yes, Brahma is my father also. He is the first personality in this universe. So he actually went offered obeisances to Brahma, right? Nishasada, Nisasada Tat Agya. And by the order of Brahmaji. So he offered obeisance and Brahmaji said, okay, you can please take your seat. And by the order of Brahma, Daksha was going to take his seat. Just going to take a seat, and we'll see what happens in next verse. Now, why are these last three verses glorifying Daksha so much? Like imagine they're showing like Daksha, the leader of Prajapati, is so effulgent. Here is referred to as Bhagavan. So in our mind, what do we think at this point? That wow, Daksha is such a great personality. Such a glorious personality, such a great personality. But then we see what happens next, right? That our conception of someone being such a great personality, what does he do next, right? Okay, so let's see text number 8. Who's next on the read? Next. Karuna Purna Shakti Mataji, leave it to read.
Should I read again, Prabhuji?
You read, right, Mataji? You read one.
Yes, I did.
Okay. So let's see. Karuna Purna Shakti Mataji. Okay. Varsana Priya Mataji, you can go ahead.
प्राणं निशानमृतं दृष्ट्वा नामृष्यत्तत् अनत्रित उवाच वामं चक्षुर्भ्यम् अभिविक्षतहन् इव. Translation. Before taking his seat, however, Daksha was very much offended to see Lord Shiva sitting and not showing him any respect. At that time, Daksha became greatly angry and his eyes glowing. He began to speak very strongly against Lord Shiva.
So now he says, Prak Nishatam. So he was like, Brahma told him, please sit, please take your seat. And then here, just before sitting, right, Mridam Drishva Anadrita, he saw Lord Shiva. And he saw that how Lord Shiva, in that assembly where all the demigods, all these personalities are present, Lord Shiva did not stand up to show him respect. Right? Na amshame. So he did not tolerate this. How can Lord Shiva, who is my son-in-law, disrespect me? Right? So na amrishan, he did not tolerate this. Uvacha Romam. He spoke words of, Uvacha Vamam. Vamam means dishonest or cruel. He spoke cruel words. Chakshur Abhiksha, Dahan, and Eva. So Eva, whenever you see word Eva, means light. And his eyes became so angry as if they were red hot, like burning. And then he spoke cruel words to Lord Shiva. Now, why do you think that Daksha, I mean, was it, okay, one person did not stand up. Everyone else in the assembly stood up and he's entered and he showed respect. And they are gathered for what? They gathered that to do sacrifice. They are not come here to worship Daksha. They are all come to perform a big sacrifice. We already read about that. Why would Daksha get offended and so angry just in an instant? Just in an instant, like immediately, he got like so angry with eyes burning and he's speaking words of cruelty to Lord Shiva. Why?
Maybe his ego kicked in.
Yes,
And
his
his
ego. Okay, and why did his ego kick in at that time? As you said, kick in.
Because he saw everybody standing, and then he's thinking Shiva as his son-in-law. He's not thinking of him as a great devotee, or he's just thinking, and then also maybe he had those other, he has so many opulences where Shiva lives in. Like he doesn't have anything. He doesn't even have a house. So he just looks at him as a smaller person, and so
Right.
his ego just grows.
He's envious of Lord Shiva.
Yeah. Okay. So, see, Prabhupada explained one point in the purport that one way, is just one person, and then everyone else has shown him respect, but just one person. And why did he get so offended? Well, first of all, he had a previously he was not satisfied with Lord Shiva. Like he had given his daughter in marriage to Lord Shiva, but he was not happy that his daughter has to stay with someone who's so renounced, who does not have a house, and so on. We'll read about that more. So previously itself, he had this, oh Lord Shiva, I don't like him. I had to give him my daughter, but I didn't want to do it because Brahma said I did it, but I didn't want to do it. So there was some previous negative feeling in his heart, right? Negative emotions in his heart towards Lord Shiva. Further, because of that negativity in his heart, now he got a reason to bring out that negativity, right? And we see this in relationships also, that something may have between, two persons. And one person may have that negative thinking that, oh, why did he do this? But they're still okay. They're still, interacting with each other, or, having the regular dealings. But because that negativity is there in the heart, then what happens? You just need one small trigger. One trigger, and then because the negativity stored in the heart is there, one small trigger, and immediately it may come out. Right? And it may not, like that situation at that moment may not even justify such a reaction, but because the negativity is stored in the heart, then even a small trigger can burn into a fire. And that's what here is saying. Dahan, like burning, his eyes became so hot because of the negativity. So that is first point, right? Bhagavatam is teaching so much about relationships also. And that's why it says that, even a small negativity is there in the heart, better to talk about it, open communication, and clear it out. Because we store in the heart, then what happens? We are just, waiting until a time, one trigger, and then it's going to become a big, issue, right? So that's the first point. Second point is that this is a theme of the whole pastime is, as one elevates oneself, one is elevated to a higher position, even in spiritual circles. The higher one is in position, what happens? The more the false ego also grows. And because of false ego, there is pride. And because of pride, there is expectation of respect. See, in the third canto, what did we see with respect to the pastime between, again and again, one, the pastime between Diti and Kashyapa, right? And then we saw the pastime between Devahuti and Kardama, right? And the whole third canto is establishing, yes, you want to enjoy life? Well, that is a way to do it. Do it through the Vedic system. Now this fourth canto is saying, even if you are living following the Vedic system, what is the problem that happens? You can become proud and say that, oh, see, I am a follower of the Vedas. I know better, right? And we see this practically, like, when we go out for book distribution, there are some people who follow certain principles of the Vedas, but they are actually receptive. They appreciate what you're doing. But sometimes you meet some people, they're like, oh, I am a Brahmana. Who are you? You are coming and giving me a Bhagavad Gita? I am a Brahmana. Every day I do my Gayatris, I do my worship, I do Yagya, I do this puja, I do this. Who are you to give me knowledge? Right? So one point that we see that one way Daksha, he was established, he was appointed by Brahma himself as the head of the Prajapatis, and one way he is in that Vedic system, he is her head, a representative. But because of that, and this actually, I mean, this is the point about false ego and pride. Pride is such a thing that, okay, and we'll come more also, like I have written more points later also. But just because I'm making the point now, pride is such a thing that even in our bhakti, we are practicing bhakti for like 5 years, 10 years. And then subtle element of pride comes into our heart. I heard Mahatma Prabhu was saying that, in the initial days of the movement, now there were very few initiated devotees. Now, of those initiated devotees, few of them got second initiation. And Mahatma Prabhu was saying, at that moment, second initiation, we got Brahman thread. And he was saying that at that moment, it was almost like, he was saying that we were like, it was like a proud moment for us. See, we have Brahman thread now. And you actually hang the Brahman thread so everyone can see, I am so great. Prabhupada has given me Brahman thread. So that the subtle anartha of pride, how it actually comes in the heart, and it is an obstacle for all of us. Pride is, we may not even realize, you practice Krishna consciousness for a few years, you'll have some other reason to be proud, and that pride is an obstacle for us to progress in our spiritual life. And it is exactly the opposite of the quality that we need to develop in our spiritual life to progress. And what is that quality? Humility, right? And pride is the exact opposite of humility. And you're proud, you cannot be humble, right? And here we see that even Daksha, he is following the Vedic tradition. He is the head of the Prajapati. So always like, Brahma has appointed all these things. But as soon as the pride comes, expectation of respect. And because of that, now we see what he is going to do. He's going to blaspheme Lord Shiva. Okay. And also one thing that we see here is, anyway, these points will again, we'll read in the verses, but I'm just making the point here that as soon as pride comes in our heart, we tend to see the least disqualification of that person. The nature of a devotee should be what? Always look for good qualities. But as soon as pride comes, what happens? We want to show that we are better than that person. And even though that person may have all good qualities, we'll see his least disqualification and say, oh, see, this is disqualification, hence he's lower than me. And that was Daksha's vision. Daksha did not see that Lord Shiva was, we already read, he is the highest of all demigods. He's the principal demigod, right? Principal demigod, right? So his position that way is higher than Daksha. Not only that, he is the best devotee of Vishnu. So that way also he is greater than Daksha, right? But he did not see all this. All he saw was, oh, he is my son-in-law. And hence he needs to show me respect. That expectation of respect. Why? Because he's my son-in-law. Hence he's lower than me. Right? So immediately as such pride is there, that comparison mentality comes. And in that comparison mentality, we see the least disqualification and say, oh, that person is there. Hence he needs to show me respect. Right? So we see that in the case of Daksha. Right? So Prabhupada says that in the purport that Daksha felt insulted by his son-in-law. Right? So he was not seeing Lord Shiva as a great demigod or a devotee, but just as his son-in-law. But if you see Lord Shiva's, his real glory is that he's the best of all Vaishnavas. Next glory is that he is the principal of all demigods. And then third, his position is that of a son-in-law. Right? So in the relationship, first is a devotee, second demigod, third son-in-law. But Daksha saw what? The last one, the third, as a son-in-law. Right? Okay. Okay, let's go further. Text 9.
श्रूयतां भ्रमशिष्यो मे सह देवा स आज्ञया साधूनां ब्रुवतो वृत्तां न आज्ञानां च मत्सरात्. All sages, brahmanas, and fire gods present, please hear me with attention, for I speak about the manners of gentle persons. I do not speak out of ignorance or envy. Hare Krishna.
Mhm. So here's a Brahma Rishi. He's saying, "Oh sages among Brahmanas." Now he's actually addressing everyone in the assembly. Saha Deva, oh demigods. Saha Agneya, oh fire gods. Shruyatam. Please hear me with attention. Imagine, like, Daksha is right there. He's going to speak ill of someone. And he's saying, everyone, please listen to me. I have an announcement to make. I mean, when you say that, normally you're saying something important, whether it's about the sacrifice or you're glorifying someone. But see Daksha, say, please hear me with attention. And then sadhunam bruvata vritam. I'm going to speak about the manners of gentle person. What should a gentle person, what should be his behavior be? Na agyat, na cha matsara. I'm not speaking out of agya, ignorance. I know I am the head of the Prajapatis. I know what I'm speaking, and I'm not speaking out of envy. Now it is interesting that Daksha is saying, I am not speaking out of envy, and we'll see that everything he's going to say is out of envy. Right? But he's saying, I'm not speaking out of envy, right? Okay, and then so here one way Daksha is saying, I'm going to criticize Lord Shiva, but do not think that I'm doing it out of envy, because people know that Lord Shiva is, one of the Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Everyone knows that position of Lord Shiva. But still he's saying, before he's going to speak, he's saying, no, you listen. I know what I'm saying, right? And I'm not speaking out of envy. You listen to me. Okay, and Prabhupada in purport, he says, Daksha tried to pacify assembly in very tactful way, right? He speak the manners of gentle. This might affect the unmannerly upstarts. Assembly might be unhappy as they did not even, okay, so, okay. So basically he's here making the point that he's speaking in such a tactful way that, I know, I'm not envious, right? And, right. So Prabhupada also makes the point that he says he's envious of Lord Shiva because even from the beginning, when his Brahma had asked him to give his daughter in marriage to Lord Shiva, from that time he was envious, and hence he could not see his own envy. Right. So that is this. We have referred to this Atmavan Manyate Jagat. We see the world how we are. Right. Our consciousness is like a mirror, and we see the world like what qualities are there in us, that's what we see in others. And because Daksha was envious, he was seeing, oh, see Lord Shiva, see Shiva, he is envious, he does not show respect to me, right?
Prabhuji, question, why envious? Like Daksha had so much more than Shiva. What was the reason for envy? I could see Daksha being upset, angry, proud, but envious. What did Shiva have that Daksha didn't have that made him envious?
The position, maybe?
What possession of what?
Position that he's the leader
Position,
of
okay.
Yeah.
Actually, one thing now, see, we'll see how Daksha, when after this whole thing, he's going to curse Lord Shiva. And what is he going to curse on? That you are receiving. We are doing this sacrifice, and you are one of the recipients of the benefits of the sacrificial offering. And that's what was Daksha's. Why is Shiva getting a result of the sacrificial offering? I mean, those sacrificial offerings are given to those personalities who are elevated. And now he's saying, why should he get it? He's just, and then he'll further criticize and say, yeah, he does not deserve to get it. So he was envious that he is also a recipient of the sacrificial offering, though he has no good qualities. So that was the point that Daksha, and we'll see further that how he actually curses him on that point. Is that okay?
I'm still not seeing the envy portion, because again, there are so many other recipients of that sacrifice. And everybody is actually below Daksha. Like they probably don't are not in that position to get the benefits of the sacrifice. So I maybe it's
see,
I'm not still
see,
seeing it though.
see, Prabhupada, what is the point he makes in purport? He says, as far as envy is concerned, from the very beginning, he was envious of Lord Shiva. Right? Therefore, he could not distinguish his own particular envy. Right? So, what is the point? Like, even when, see, if you see, like, all his daughters were given to personalities like the Pitas, to Dharma himself, to Agni, to all these personalities. So, one way, by Brahma saying, you give your daughter Sati to Lord Shiva, one way he's elevated Lord Shiva and saying, Lord Shiva is so great that he deserves to be, your daughter will be, he's a perfect husband for your daughter. So that itself, from that time itself, is like, why Lord Shiva? Why Lord Shiva? See, Lord Shiva is recognized by all these personalities as, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. He is in charge. So he has that title, he has that position, he has, not like possession, but he has that position, and that's what is Daksha's envy there. Why does he have a position?
Okay.
He does not have any qualities to have that position. Why does he have? And that, so even from starting, that's what Prabhupada is saying. Even when his daughter was given, he was envious. Why Lord Shiva? He doesn't have any quality to have that position, so hence that envy. I mean, all these qualities, starting from false ego. From false ego comes pride, envy. All these things are like so subtle qualities, that anarthas that we have, and we don't even realize that an anartha is there. I mean, maybe practically we see that, we are in an assembly of devotees, and then Maharaj comes and he's giving like special attention to one devotee. What is our first feeling? Maybe our first feeling is like, what, I distributed more books than that person. Why is Maharaj not giving me so much attention? Right? It's so subtle that it may just come like in the moment. Why he's getting so much? Why everyone is talking about him? Why him? I deserve it. I deserve it. I deserve. And when we say I deserve, that means that we are saying that, oh, I am so great that I deserve. If you think about it, what is it that we really deserve? What do we deserve? Can you tell me one thing that we deserve? Any one thing that
No, I mean, I don't think we deserve anything, right? Because whatever we have, we are getting it as a kind of like just
like
a
mercy,
gift.
right? Like
Yeah,
a
it's a mercy, a
mercy.
gift, a donation. So
Yeah.
I don't think we deserve anything.
So, that's the point, that if we really understand that we don't deserve anything, anything that is coming to us is actually out of mercy. We are actually just beggars. What is our position? We are so insignificant. But the thing is, we don't consider, as soon as, few years of devotional service or something, or some seva we do, immediately we are like, oh, I did that seva, I deserve a full plate of prasada. I deserve Mahaprasada because I did that seva. And immediately, so that is actually, all these are like indicative of the false ego, pride, envy in our heart. And we cannot see it ourselves. And that's the point that Prabhupada is saying, that because he had envy, he was seeing envy in Lord Shiva. He was saying that I am speaking out of envy. Right? That's a verse that he's saying, Matsarata. Na Matsarata. I'm not speaking out of envy. He could not see envy in himself. And these subtle anarthas we cannot see on our own. We cannot see on our own. And hence, in our spiritual life, we always say, okay, importance of nice devotee association, mentors, guru, shiksha guru, diksha guru. Why? Because they can see. and they can correct us. We cannot see those subtle anarthas. Right? We cannot see. And if we are sincere on the path of devotion, then Krishna, through these personalities, will show us that, oh, see how you are. You have that pride in your heart. You're doing this seva, but that seva is with some element of pride in your heart. So, right. So that's another point here. Okay.
Thank you,
also,
Prabhuji.
yeah, and also one more point we can see that why was Daksha so tactful here? And that is the other thing, that as soon as there is pride, what happens? We become duplicitous in our behavior. We become duplicitous. And what is the quality of a Vaishnava? Saralta, simplicity. See, if there is no expectation of honor, of respect, then we are just simple. This is who I am. This is who I am. I'm just a beginner in Krishna consciousness. I'm a neophyte. What do I know? What realizations do I have? That's who I am. We become simple at that. But as soon as this pride comes, then we become like, no, I am so and so. And then we become duplicitous in our behavior. Again, all these are actually anarthas that we are seeing, that while practicing devotional service, these anarthas, is something that we have to work on. So we saw duplicitous behavior, ego, false ego, pride, envy, all these anarthas. And as I mentioned in our, when we started the fourth canto, as I said, the entire fourth canto is one way. It is like a surgery of the anarthas in our heart, right? I mentioned this. If you really say the fourth canto, then you'll be like, okay, this anartha, these obstacles, this obstacle. And here we are already seeing all the obstacles that I mentioned in our spiritual life. And we can really focus on, like, in my path of spiritual life, what are the obstacles? Do I have these obstacles? If we are honest, then we'll be like, yes, I have these. I have false ego, I have pride, and I have envy, I have duplicitous behavior. Now, how can I get rid of this? As soon as we diagnose that this is a problem, then we start working on it. But the problem is we don't think we have this problem, right? So, okay. Let's continue. So now he's going to blaspheme Lord Shiva. From text 10 all the way to text number 16. You see how he blasphemes, 7 verses of blasphemy. Okay, so let's see. Who is next?
Hare Krishna. Text 10. Ayam tu lokapalanam yashokno nirpatrapaha shatbhir acharita pantha yena sabdena dushitaha. Shiva has spoiled the name and fame of the governors of the universe and has polluted the path of gentle manners. Because he is shameless, he does not know how to act.
So here, see, like we are discussing, like, why is he envious? And we see the first point here. Say, Ayam he lokapalanam. He is one of the governors of the universe. Yasha Gnaha. But he's spoiling the name of these governors. So it's almost like you're saying that, yeah, we are all one way Prajapatis, we are the governors of the universe, but his being a governor is spoiling the name of all of us. That is his first criticism. Why? Niraprata. He's shameless. Shameless. Shabdabihi. Polluted, dushita, right? So shameless and polluted the path of gentle behaviors. And stabdena, he's devoid of proper actions, right? He's shameless. He does not know how to act. He's polluted the name and fame of all of us, right? And why is that? Because, consider in that assembly, like everyone, you can see Lord Shiva is an exception of all those. Why? Because Lord Shiva, he puts, we'll read further, how he dresses up, what garland he wears. He doesn't wear a garland of flowers. He has a unique garland. So all those things we'll see. And that's why he's saying that, you are spoiling the name and you don't know how to act. Your behavior is not proper, right? So that's the criticism. Now, if you see our acharyas, whenever there is any blasphemy of a devotee or Lord Krishna, then the acharyas, they use the same Sanskrit and they split the sandhi in such a way that the same blasphemy becomes a glorification. right? So all these verses, one way we see what is Daksha's intent, but how our Acharya explain. So I don't know if everyone got the Subodhini, but if you don't have, please take it. But here, when the word Nirapatrapaha is actually said, so Daksha's meaning is shameless. But our Acharya explained, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and Prabhupada also makes a point, that it can also mean one who gives shelter to those without deliverance. Right? So one is shameless, but other is one who gives shelter to those who have actually no hope of getting delivered. Then Lord Shiva is the one who actually gives them. Right? So and then the other one is Yashogna. So his meaning of Yashogna is he destroys the fame of those who are the governors of the universe. Now, as our Acharya's Prabhupada is actually explaining, by his own fame, he is actually really so famous that all the other governors have no comparison to his fame. You see the point? How you can actually, change the meaning and make it a glorification. Right? So one is that Daksha's point is he's destroying the fame, but our acharyas are making the point he is so famous that none of the demigods can actually meet his fame. Therefore, he is exceptional in his character. Right? Okay. So Prabhupada actually explained. Daksha used the word nirapatra, which also can be used in two senses. One sense is one who is stunted, another sense is one who is the maintainers of persons who have no shelter. Right? So then Prabhupada explained how the bhutas, we already talked about the ghosts, they take shelter of Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva, he is Ashutosh, very quickly satisfied. So he said, like anyone, you do something, you come and offer me a bail leave, I'm satisfied. Here, I'll give you deliverance, I'll give you mercy. So that's the nature of Lord Shiva. Right? Okay, text 11.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So I can understand Daksha having envy, and he's saying why he's saying that he has no envy. But from a point of view of looking at it from an assembly point of view, right, where everybody is sitting there and giving respect to Daksha, it is a normal um, um, process, right, where you have to pay the respect to the person who is in charge of the assembly, and you need to get up, right? So in this case, Daksha expecting that is not an extreme situation, right? He expects people to get up, and that is something which people do respect a person who is in charge of the assembly. So how is that wrong in this case?
Yeah, because he does not know the true glories of Lord Shiva.
No, that is okay. But from an assembly point of view, everybody has to get up, right?
See, Brahma did not get up. And then Daksha did not mind Brahma not getting up. Why? Because Brahma is the first created being in this universe. So if you see, only Brahma and Shiva did not get up. Now, actually, both of them are so glorious that they need not get up. Like if you see, even if an assembly is there, okay, one person gets up. Yes, he is, let's say, the manager of that. Okay, I mean, we can take this example. Let's say a temple president is walking into an assembly, right? Now everyone else may think like, okay, he is a president, he is a manager. We offer some respect. Now, what if the guru is sitting there? Does the guru need to get up to offer respect to the president? No.
No.
He's the guru of that person. And that's why we read initially that what did Vidura say? He is Gurum Charachara. He's the guru of all, including Daksha. Why should he get up? He's the guru of Daksha, one way. Why should he get up? So it was only because Daksha had the envious nature even from before he saw fault in that. Though Lord Shiva is faultless. So even from an assembly point of view, Lord Shiva was so absorbed in his meditation on Lord Krishna that he is one way beyond these aspects of etiquette. He is beyond this, oh, I have to get up and show respect. No, he's beyond all this. He is, that way a pure devotee of Krishna. So why is he care for all these moral rules as such?
It also depends on the culture. I don't know about others, but especially in North India, it is actually other way around. Because you have given your daughter to that family, the son-in-law and the son-in-law's family is given due respect. It's actually other way around in North.
Okay. I mean that point is from a cultural point of view, cultural point of view. Yeah. Now here, see the point here. See how even if you see Nectar of Instruction, now in 11 verses, right? In Nectar of Instruction, just 11 verses, Rupa Goswami is saying, he's starting off from who is a guru and taking us all the way to Radha Kund. If you see in that 11 verses, two of those 11 verses is just on the point that how we should see other people. And what is that verse? Like text 5 actually says, Krishneti yas giritam manasadriyeta diksheti chet pranate bischa bhajantam isham shushrusaya bhajana vignam ananyam anya nindati shunya ridam ipsita sangalabhya. And he says, how should we see? A person should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has taken initiation, and you should worship a person who is actually a pure devotee, who is so advanced that you should worship him. Now, see what is Rupa Goswami saying? He's saying that even among devotee circle, okay, everyone we show respect, but those who are chanting Hare Krishna, mentally you show respect. Those who have taken initiation, you offer obeisances. Those who are advanced, you serve them, you worship them. And then the next verse he continues and he makes the point what? Drishte swabhava janiter vapuschasya joshe na prakrititvam iha bhakta janasya pashet. Right? He actually says, being situated in original Krishna conscious person, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee having a body born in a low family, bad complexion, a deformed body, a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent, but despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It's exactly like waters of the Ganges, which sometimes during the rainy season appears to be full of bubbles and foam and mud, but still Ganges is always pure. Right? Imagine Rupa Goswami, out of those 11 verses, 2 verses is just on how we should see other people. And we shouldn't see defects. Even though Lord Shiva, he may be, putting the ashes over his body. He's wearing a garland, not of flowers, of skull, of different skull. Imagine. All his associates are the bhutas, the ghosts and the goblins, all those people. But still, one should see what? One should see beyond this physical vision, and one should see the devotion of a person. And Daksha did not see that. And that was his mistake. That was his mistake. Right? So, okay. So I hope that's okay, Prabhu. Point over.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, so let's continue. Text 11.
Hare Krishna 4 to 11.
Hare Krishna.
Esh
Okay. Go ahead.
Esha me sityatam prapto yanme dhuhitur agrihit panim vipragni muktaha savitya eva sadhuvat. He has already accepted himself as my subordinate by marrying my daughter in the presence of fire and Brahmanas. He has married my daughter, who is equal to Gayatri, and has pretended to be just like an honest person. Hare Krishna.
So what is his criticism? And this is not from this episode. This is what he was holding in his heart. He said here that he is Esha he me shiyatam prapta. He accepted a subordinate position. Why? because me duhiti agrahit panim. He took the hand of my daughter. So by accepting the hand of my daughter, he's taken the position of a son-in-law. Hence, he has accepted a subordinate position. Vipra Agni, and he did in presence of brahmanas and fire. They are the proof that he has accepted the subordinate position to me. And my daughter, who is Savitraha. Savitreya means just like Gayatri, just like Savitri. She is so glorious. So he is not qualified, but he accepted my daughter's hand in front of everyone, pretending to be an honest person, but he is actually dishonest. Because he does not deserve to actually have my daughter who is so glorious, but but he acted, oh, I am so good, I have come and accepted this. But he's being dishonest in his behavior. Right? So that is the criticism. But now, what is the glorification here, right? So here the glorification is, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that Lord Shiva is omniscient. He knows everything. He knows the glories of my daughter. He knows how glorious my daughter is. And he also knows how my heart is filled with envy. And because he knows my heart is filled with envy, hence he did not stand up. Hence it did not stand up. So one way he kept my bad behavior a secret, and hence he did not stand up to welcome me. So that is one way the glorification of Lord Shiva, right? That he's omniscient. He knows the good qualities of my daughter, and he knows my bad qualities. So he accepted my daughter, and he did not welcome me. Right? Okay, text 12. Everyone's following? Okay, text 12. Arundhati Mata, you can go ahead. I think you missed your turn, right?
Yeah, okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Text 12. गृहीत्वा मृगसावाक्ष्य पाणिं मर्कटलोचनः प्रत्युत्थानाभिवादर्हे वाचाप्यकृतनोचितम्. Translation: He has eyes like a monkey's, yet he has married my daughter, whose eyes are just like those of a deer cub. Nevertheless, he did not stand up to receive me, nor did he think it fit to welcome me with sweet words. Hare Krishna.
Imagine his criticism. Like, who would call someone, like, what did he say? Grihitva Mrigasava. Mrigasava is like eyes like a deer cub. And who is that? That's my daughter. My daughter is so beautiful, she has eyes like a deer cub. And who is this person? Markata Lochana. Markata means monkey, Lochana means eyes. This person has eyes like a monkey. And imagine someone insulting Lord Shiva in such a way, saying that he has eyes like a monkey. And yet he has accepted the hand of my daughter who has eyes like a deer cub. And then further he actually says, and pratyuthana, abhivada. And he does not even honor me, either by standing up or at least vachaha, he has spoken some sweet words to honor me. He did not do that. See his character. He does not know how to behave. We are all well-mannered persons, and among all of us is this person who is ill-mannered. And hence, initially, he said the point. And I'm not speaking out of ignorance of envy. We are speaking for the benefit of everyone who is well-mannered. So we should see that he is not well-mannered and identify him right now. Otherwise, people will blame us. So that's his criticism. The positive glorification here is that Lord Shiva, even those who are Markatalochana, the materialists who are like monkey eyes, Lord Shiva even delivers those personalities. Right? Seeing materialists who are like monkeys, he actually mercifully fulfills their desires and also liberates them. Right? So one way we can say, why Markat Lochana, and our Acharya is saying Markat Lochana to materialists, because just like a monkey sees anything, does he have discrimination? Should I take it or not? Oh, I see that. He'll jump, immediately grab it. And materialists, just like that. No discrimination. What is good or bad? As soon as there's anything that he thinks will gratify the senses, go and grab. Just like that. But Lord Shiva is the one who fulfills that desires. That is the glory of Lord Shiva. Okay, next verse, 13.
Hare Krishna. Lupta kriya ya shuchaye manine bhinna setave anichannapi adambalam Shudrayevo Shatim Giram. I had no desire to give my daughter to this person who has broken all rules of civility. Because of not observing the required rules and regulations, he is impure. But I was obliged to hand over my daughter to him, just as one teaches the messages of the Vedas to a Shudra.
So here it says Lupta Kriya. He does not observe any rules and regulations. Now, what is the positive? Lord Shiva is so transcendental that he does not need to observe these rules and regulations. I made this point earlier. He's so transcendental. Above all this, he does not need to observe, right? But here, the criticism does not observe rules and regulations. Second, asuchaya. So, asuchaya means impure. Why is he impure? I mean, imagine a person if you see his body is covered with ash from the crematorium. I mean, if you see from external vision, you will be like, oh, impure personality. But what was the verse we read from Nectar of Instruction? One should not see with external vision. Right? One should not see with external vision, right? But he's just seeing externally and saying he's impure. The positive is actually, say, acharyas, when they say asochaye, they will actually put it with the other word and make it sochaye. Sochaye means pure. No one can be pure than Lord Shiva. In his heart, no one can be more devoted than Lord Shiva. Right? Third point is manine. Manine means proud. Right? He is very proud. Actually, who is proud here? Daksha is proud. But he's saying, oh, Lord Shiva is so proud that he did not stand up. And then our acharyas explain, manine, they make it manine, and saying that he's not proud. He's selfless. He is like, so merciful to everyone. Then bhinna setava. He violates the codes of conduct, right? And then on the positive side, he does not break any rules, right? And then the last word is shudra yeva, right? So this verse is saying what? He's actually giving an example. And he's saying, I did not desire to give my daughter to this person. He does not have any rules of civility, right? He does not observe any rules and regulations. He's so impure. But because Brahma actually told me, I was obliged to give it, right? Just like one should not give Vedic knowledge to Shudra, right? But if someone gives Vedic knowledge to Shudra, just like that, I was forced to give my daughter to this person who is uncivilized. Right? That's his criticism. So Prabhupada in the purport, he explains, a Shudra is forbidden to take lessons from the Vedas because Shudra, he has unclean habits. He is not worthy to hear such instructions. Right. So Prabhupada explains, like, what does this mean? The restriction that unless one has acquired the Brahminical qualifications, one should not, right? One should not read the Vedas, right? And Prabhupada gives an example. Unless one is graduated from lower grades, one should not enter law college. So what does this mean? That, just like, now if someone has not studied basic maths, and you actually teach them some algebra or some complicated maths topics, how will they understand? Right? They are not qualified to understand. Right? So here he's saying, just like Lord Shiva is not qualified to deserve my daughter, but I was forced to give. Right? Similarly, if a Shudra gets knowledge, he's not qualified to get. So that's the point. Okay, next verse, 14, 15.
Prabhuji, I have a question and a comment. Prabhuji, why Lord Shiva smears ash on his body?
We'll come to that, Mataji. I think it's the next verse, right?
Okay. And Prabhuji, a comment that so grateful to Srila Prabhupada that he has made the Vedic knowledge available to anyone.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay, so we continue. I was just looking for that. It comes further where he talks about like how he puts ash on his body. Yeah. Text 14:15.
प्रेतावासेषु घोरेषु प्रेते भूतगणे वृतः अटत्युन्मत्तवन्नग्नो व्युक्तकेशो हसनृदन् चित्तभस्माकृतस्नानः प्रेतस्नग्निस्य भूषणः शिवापदेशोरशिवो मत्तो मत्तजनप्रियः पतिः प्रमथनाथानां तमोमात्रात्मकात्मनाम्. Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. He lives in filthy places like crematorium, and his companions are the ghosts and demons, naked like a madman, sometimes laughing and sometimes crying. He smears crematorium ashes all over his body. He does not bath regularly, and he ornaments his body with a garland of skulls and bones. Therefore, only in name is he Shiva or auspicious. Actually, he is the most mad and inauspicious creatures. Thus, he is very dear to crazy being in the gross mode of ignorance, and he is their leader. Hare Krishna.
Hmm.
Oh my God, I don't like to read this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one way it is like so much blasphemy of Lord Shiva, but that's why our acharyas give the positive meaning. So we read it, we read the positive. We understand the glories of Lord Shiva. So, so there are 9 points in this verse. So I'll just mention. First is the Unmata Vat. Unmata Vat means he's just like a madman. Why is he a madman? Because he wanders accompanied by pretas and bhutas, right? And where do you find Lord Shiva? He is in the place where the preta avesha, where the burning places of dead bodies. That's where you're going to find Lord Shiva. So that's the criticism, right? Okay, and what is the positive here? Actually, Daksha does not know. Why is Lord Shiva in the crematorium? Because he's actually giving mercy to those ghosts who are there. To those lowly class people, he's actually giving them mercy. Right? Okay. Then second point, Nagnaha, he's naked. Right? Third point, Vyukta Kesha, he has scattered hair. He does not care about his hair or anything. One way is like an avaduta. Like the positive side we say is like an avaduta. He's so renounced, he does not even care for his hair. Right? Fourth is Hasan Rodan. He's like a madman. Sometimes he laughs, sometimes he cries. Now, sometimes someone laughs or cries, then we'll consider he's a madman. But if you see in the 5th canto, we'll read about Jad Bharat, or we'll read about Prahlad Maharaj's glories in 7th canto. Their glorification is that they sometimes laugh, sometimes cry. Why? Because sometimes they are like meditating on some Leela of Krishna and then they are laughing in ecstasy. And they cry. Why? Sometimes they're feeling so much separation from Krishna that they are crying. That is Lord Shiva's status. He's always so absorbed in Krishna. So sometimes he's feeling that association with Krishna and sometimes he's feeling the separation. And because of that, he's laughing and crying. But Daksha is just seeing external and considering him like a madman. Right? And then further, Chitta Bhasma. So this was what Mataji was asking, right? He covers the body with ashes of funeral pyre. Right? So this actually, one of our Puranas make the point that those who are advanced Vaishnavas, exalted Vaishnavas, they smear ashes on the body. Why? To actually always remind themselves that, oh, this body is temporary. I am just a servant of Krishna. That is one. And second point is that, see, if you want to give mercy to those people who are fallen, one way you are actually becoming like them to say, oh, no, see, even my body is covered with skulls, my body is covered with ash. Come, I will give you mercy. So, one way to actually show his mercy to this kind of people, he is kind of externally dressing like them to show them mercy. Right? So, one of the Puranas actually makes the point that those who are avaduta, those who are so exalted, they put ash over their body. Right? So, that's the glorification. Right? Then further, next point, he has a garland of skulls, right? Skulls of dead bodies. Then Shiva Apadesha. So here it says he is Shiva. Shiva means what? Auspicious, right? He is auspicious. His name is auspicious, but he's auspicious only in name. He's not auspicious. He's a Shiva. He's actually inauspicious, right? Then Mata Janapriya. He's very dear to crazy beings. Pati Pramata Nathana. He is the leader of the lords of Pramathas. Pramathas means madman, right? And he's very dear to those in the mode of ignorance, right? So these are 9 points. So Prabhupada in purport, he actually says that those who do not regularly bathe are supposed to be in association of ghosts or crazy creatures. So Prabhupada is making the point that, when we have unclean habits, right, even in a house, or if you're keeping things unclean, that attracts what? It attracts the negative creatures. It attracts ghosts, Like see, the ghosts also, ghosts, they are a reality. It's not some fictional characters. The ghosts are attracted to unclean places. So when we are keeping our environment unclean, we are attracting these negative points. So that's why Prabhupada says unclean habits and place invites ghostly creatures. Right? Then second point, Prabhupada says is Shiva is so kind to such persons, those who are in the mode of ignorance. So externally people will say, oh, Shiva is in ignorance. But the real point is he's so merciful to those people who are in ignorance, right? And so Vishnu takes charge of persons who are interested to advance in Krishna consciousness. Brahma takes charge of persons who are attached to material activities. Shiva is so merciful that he takes charge of those persons who are in gross ignorance. Therefore, the name of Shiva means all auspicious. Okay, text number 16. Everyone okay on this? The negative and the positive, the blasphemy and the positive glorification. Okay.
तस्मा उन्मादनाथाय नष्टशौचाय दुरिते दत्तापतमया सात्वी चोदिते parameshthina. Translation: On the request of Lord Brahma, I handed over my chaste daughter to him. Although he is devoid of all cleanliness and his heart is filled with nasty things.
Okay, so here we see Tasmai, to him, Unmata Nathaya. Unmata Nathaya means who is the Lord, the Nath of Unmada. Unmada means the mad people. He is the Lord of the mad people. Nasta Socha. He is no Socha, no Sochi, no Suchi. So he's like devoid of all cleanliness. Duride, his heart is filled with all these nasty things. Chodite Pramateshtina. He is actually, so being requested by Parameshthina, the supreme teacher Brahma, Datta Bat Maya Sadhvi. I handed over my chaste daughter to that person. Right? So what is Brahma actually indicating? See, who is Brahma to Daksha? Father, right? So here he is not even calling his own father as father, but he's saying Parameshti, right? That supreme teacher, Brahma, because he said I had to do it. So one way Prabhupada is actually explaining that Daksha is actually even offending Brahma, saying that Brahma does not, he is the supreme teacher, but he does not know what is the right and wrong. And hence he asked me to give my daughter to Shiva. He made a mistake, But because he is Brahma, I had to listen to him. But actually, he was actually repentant. Why did, I had to give my daughter to someone who is so uncodified, who is so unclean, who has no behavior, and so on. So Prabhupada in the purport, he says, duty of parents is to hand over their daughter to suitable persons befitting their family tradition, who have cleanliness, gentle behavior, wealth, social position. Now if you see from external point of view, does Lord Shiva have any of these? No, right? Cleanliness? No, he's in a crematorium, gentle behavior. Oh, gentle behavior for sure. We already talked about it. Then wealth, he's so renounced, he doesn't even have a house, right? Social position, one way. So Prabhupada is saying the duty of parents is to offer this. And Daksha was thinking of that external points, right? And hence he was repentant that, oh, I gave my daughter to this unqualified. Now Prabhupada says, because of the gross anger, he was not even prepared to accept Brahma as father. Therefore, he is accusing Brahma as less intelligent. Right? So, what is the point here, right? So, let's see. Yeah. See, the whole theme of this is we talked of what are the negative anarthas we talked of from this pastime till now. Please, someone can say.
False ego,
False
pride,
ego,
enviousness,
pride,
Fault
envy-
finding.
enviousness, fault finding,
Fault finding.
and duplicity.
duplicity, right? All these we see. But what is the root cause of all these anarthas? False ego. See, if you see, even in the matter of creation of this material world, everyone remembers that famous chart of creation. How does the material world start, the creation start? Because of false ego, ahankar. And ahankar in three modes, right? When ahankar in mode of, see, if you remember in the third canto, 26th chapter, when we read about this, we talked of ahankar, and then we said ahankar in mode of goodness is what? The mind. Ahankar in mode of passion is intelligence, right? And ahankar in mode of ignorance is everyone remembers third canto, 26th chapter.
False ego.
Ahankar in mode of ignorance is what?
False ego.
No, ahankar is false ego, right?
Right.
So you're saying ahankar is the root cause of everything. Ahankar in mode of goodness gives rise to mind.
Mind.
Ahankar in mode of passion gives rise to
Intelligence.
intelligence. Ahankar in mode of ignorance gives rise to all the
And
tanmatras, all the body, earth, water, air, fire, ether, and the senses, right? The senses, right? You remember from the chart? Everyone remembers? And here you can review back 26th chapter, right? So the root cause of everything is the false ego. Now, this false ego, this whole chapter or this whole pastime is showing that how false ego is the cause of destruction, right? And it is this false ego which is the cause of our final destruction in the sense of death also. I mean, if we don't have false ego, we understand who we are. Is there death? No, there is no death. If we understand we are spirit soul has no death. Because of the false ego, we are going to get destroyed. We are going to die. Right? False ego is the cause of destruction of everyone. Right? So, from false ego comes pride. And because of pride, we cannot see the good qualities of others. We become envious of others. And then it is because of pride we develop the tendency of fault finding. Right? It is because of pride coming from false ego that we develop a tendency of fault finding. Why do we find faults in others? Because of this false ego and pride. Right? And then if someone is proud, then it becomes a habit, it becomes a tendency. And then everywhere he sees, he'll see faults. Oh, see, this is not done this way. This should be done like this. He starts to see faults. It becomes a tendency, right? And because of that tendency, then someone will blaspheme a Vaishnava. How Daksha is doing. He's blaspheming Lord Shiva and Brahma. He's blaspheming, he's doing Vaishnava Aparad. And if you do Vaishnava Aparad, we have heard so many times, our entire spiritual life will be destroyed. So where is all this starting from? False ego. False ego leading to pride, pride leading to not seeing the good qualities in others, but seeing some bad quality to put them down and saying like, I am better than you. And then because of that, we actually say, find faults in others. And because of that, Vaishnava Aparad actually happens. And Vaishnava Aparad will actually destroy everything, all our spiritual life. Right? Okay. So basically, the point is pride is the most destructive quality in our spiritual life, and humility is the most important quality in our spiritual life. Right? Okay. Everyone okay so far? We'll take a break. Let's see some points like, we talk so much of like ego, pride, false, duplicitous behavior, all these anarthas. So anyone, let's see if anyone would like to share any thoughts, any realizations so far. Because after this, we are going to, this is the last verse where he's blaspheming, where he has also blasphemed Brahmaji. Now, after this, we'll see how the pastime continues.
Prabhuji, in the beginning, I was thinking about this point that if Daksha, who is just the leader of Prajapatis, he has such a bodily effulgence luster, what will be the bodily effulgence lusters of Krishna?
I mean, one other point that, I was thinking during this chapter is how we tend to see, like even in our ISKCON society, we tend to see that, okay, that person has a position, and that position we equate it to his advancement in spiritual life. And this has led to many problems in ISKCON. I mean, even like, even there's like discussions that always this point is that, is a manager a guru? Not necessarily. I mean, in ideal situation, a manager should be one who is advanced in spiritual life and hence is a guru. But, equating a manager to be a guru is not, we have to see beyond that to see whether he's really qualified spiritually, he's actually elevated to, have that advancement. Okay. Any other points from today's discussion up to this text 16 from starting first verse to 16?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. So, Lord Shiva, he stays in the crematorium and all the place which is not auspicious place. So, the Gaur Kishore Das Babaji's example is given, like he also stays there because Lord Shiva doesn't want the disturbance in his meditation on Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna. So, he stays there to avoid the people coming there and disturbing him in that situation.
Yes. It's very nice point, Mataji. Actually, next purport, Prabhupada actually gives the example of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, what you just said. How he actually just, he used to also stay in a latrine, like just so that no one comes and disturbs. And even why is Lord Shiva Ashutosh? It's the same point. When people worship Lord Shiva for material things, it's like, okay, go, take it. Don't disturb me. I just want to focus on my meditation on Krishna. Right? So,
Prabhuji, I also want to mention the point that these anarthas are so subtle. I should never think that I'm entitled for anything. I should always think that whatever I have is because of mercy of Krishna.
such a nice point, right? As soon as we think that we are entitled, I deserve this, that means it is false ego, it's pride speaking. What do we deserve? We don't deserve. We are so insignificant. What do we deserve? We don't deserve anything. We are beggars. Oh Krishna, oh Guru, oh Vaishnava. We are beggars in front of you.
Prabhuji might go ahead.
Okay. So, Prabhu, we have seen Shiva is always focused or thinking about Vishnu, right?
Yeah.
But earlier, I think we read somewhere saying he's very peaceful, but because he's satisfied in himself.
Yes.
So, what does that mean there?
Yeah, because when, the whole point is Lord Shiva is getting so much pleasure in his meditation on Vishnu that he is undisturbed. He's satisfied within. See, the satisfaction within comes only when one is experiencing the higher happiness, the higher bliss. And that higher bliss comes from connection with Krishna.
Okay.
Is that your question?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to understand. What does satisfied in himself mean? So, the satisfied in himself means within himself he's focusing on Vishnu.
Vishnu. And that connection within is the source of his satisfaction.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Prabhu.
Srimati?
Yes, I was just thinking, how they say don't judge a book by its cover. I think that's the lesson I'm taking away from the interaction between Daksha and Shiva here. where we should not be judging anybody by their looks or external appearances. We need to really try our best to always understand others and always try to look at like the good qualities rather than concentrating on the external features.
That's very nice point. So that's the point. The nectar of instruction is actually telling Rupa Goswami, stressing on that point, that don't see from external point. Not only like external, like look wise, like Daksha was so effulgent, immediately everyone was like, oh, so we have to listen to him. Whatever he's saying is right. That was one thing. And second, also the position, I mean, someone may be like, oh yeah, he's so and so position, but beyond that, what is the devotion that really matters? That's the whole point. Yeah, thank you. Rohan Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhu. Yeah, thank you so much. 2 points, Prabhu. Yeah, you mentioned that what we say that when we associate with the advanced Vaishnavas, and they can correct us, like but like oftentimes we see in our society, like we glorify each other so much that the person who is receiving the glorification also takes it very seriously, and he also starts believing in those glorifications, and he's like, oh, okay, maybe I am doing something. And like very rarely we see unless like that devotee has a trust that like even if I chastise him, he is not going to go away. Like there is always that fear that if I say anything harsh, even like a relationship between a guru and a disciple, like sometimes guru is like, okay, if I say some this to him, like he's going to go away, so better like not say anything. So how to develop that like from a disciple's point of view, how to develop that how to give that confidence to guru, that you may tell anything, I'm not going to go away, like you may beat me, or you may so because like I think one time I was also hearing a audio clip of His Holiness Gaur Govind Maharaj. Like he mentioned that a guru, if you are duplicitous, guru may even cheat, like he may glorify you, and but you are not receiving the real mercy. So how do we like
Yeah, that's a nice question. Actually, interesting. Well, yesterday itself, I was talking to Mukundat Prabhu, and we were discussing this point. And he was talking of like how, because he had a lot of association with His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, and he was seeing that how Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj was so heavy, very heavy, and he used to chastise like left and right. So we were discussing the same point that and during that time we hear even Prabhupada like chastising disciples, Tamal Krishna Maharaj so heavy chastising, but now we don't hear it so much in our society. And the point we are saying, like now, it's true. Sometimes the guru may be heavy, and the disciple is like, okay, forget it. I'll find some other guru. Like and why is that difference? Because of the lack of surrender. See, we don't need to tell our guru that, oh, I will not go when you are going to chastise. No, the guru knows our heart. And if we have that level of surrender, then guru is like, yes, he is serious. He has that level of surrender. And I'm going to chastise him so that he will actually work on those anarthas, or he knows what is anarthas. It is our lack of surrender that the guru is actually, very like, oh yeah, easy going, and like he won't chastise. Even like Bir Krishna Maharaj, sometimes he jokes in his class. Like these days, like even with disciple, we tell them they don't do anything. Why? Lack of surrender. So that's the point. So from our side, when we talk about like, oh well, my guru never chastises, like, are we really surrendered to the guru? And that surrender is actually something that internal but also externally shown through our service to our Guru. Like Prabhu was mentioning yesterday also about how, the story with Mother Yamuna, where Prabhupada was in a train in India. And he actually told Mother Yamuna that I want this one particular kind of rice, and I want ready, like cooked right now, hot rice. Imagine on a train, and he mentioned a particular kind of rice. Imagine on a train, how can you like go and cook anything? It was like almost like impossible. But the whole story of how Mother Yamuna, she went to that wherever the kitchen was, that in that running train, and she said, I have to do this for my spiritual master. I need this rice. I'm going to cook it on my own, and I'm going to serve my spiritual master. And they said, like, no one is allowed to do that. What is this? What are you saying? And they just like kind of flatly denied. And what was Mother Yamuna's reaction? If you don't allow me, I'm jumping off the train. I mean, they were like really like that level of commitment. I'll jump off the train if you don't allow me. And they were like, okay, you can do it. And she did it. She got that rice, she cooked it right there, went to Prabhupada, gave that offering. I mean, that level of surrender, we hear in early days, like 70s, they are traveling in the Sankirtan vans, getting up at like 3 in the morning, bathing where it's like ice cold outside, and they're breaking like water from a swimming pool and putting that over their head just to take their early morning shower. I mean, that level of austerity and surrender, we are like so far, we are like so used to like comfortable life and this, that we are actually that we don't have that conviction and that surrender to the Guru. And when that we can really develop that, then we don't need to worry. Guru will actually show his mercy through chastisement or whatever is required for us to progress in our spiritual life. But it's just on our path that we are lacking. I mean, like even when Haldar Swami Maharaj was here, he speaks like so much in line with Gaur Govind Swami Maharaj. But he also was stressing on the same point. Like his lecture, you see, his point is what? That conviction and faith in Guru. That level of surrender to Guru. That is the key how we can progress in our spiritual life. So anyway, I hope that's helpful, Prabhu's points.
Yeah, that was really helpful, Prabhu.
Like I heard one more in Giriraj Swami Maharaj was giving this class, and he was saying to one of his disciples, like one day he got so, like he's mentioning in his class, and one day I got so angry at my disciple, and I chastised. Oh, sorry. This is the disciple speaking, who's now a sannyasi, and he's telling that once my Guru Maharaj got so angry on me, Giriraj Swami Maharaj, he chastised me so heavily. And then almost like it was like so heavy I couldn't bear it. But then later on he came and he said that, I don't do this to everyone. And he said that, why? To say that because you're surrendered, I actually did this to you so that you can progress in your spiritual life. I don't do this to everyone, just to say that you actually were qualified to receive this special mercy, So
Yeah.
Okay.
And
yeah,
Prabhu.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, no, the other point which, this is really helpful, Prabhu. And I think from what I understand is like it's not just a, like if the Guru sees that that level of surrender, then he will be more open to giving that feedback or giving that criticism to you. And the other point, you mentioned that nectar of instruction words, Prabhu, drishte swabhava janiter. So in that, I heard in a lecture that there are 2 points. Like one obviously is like the physical appearance, and the second, which the verse says, is swabhav. So sometimes the nature, of a devotee is like some, he may carry the previous impressions, like, because it's difficult to change the swabhav, from his past life, when he was not a devotee. So he may have some swabhav, maybe he's little angry, or short tempered or whatever. So that verse also mentions that we should also overlook those things also. So just wanted to add that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I mean, this whole thing is bringing us to a point that Lord Shiva, though externally we have all these things that we read, but what really matters is his devotion. And that devotion is not of this world, and that can be obtained only from a person who has that devotion, a pure devotee. Right? So, okay, so we'll take a break now, 5 minutes, and then let's come back at 9:02, and we'll continue with the pastime further. Okay, so thank you all so much. Hare Krishna.
Ram Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna everyone, so please come back. It's very interesting. Now we'll continue. Okay, so now we're going to read text number 17.
Pratna Mataji did not get a chance to read. Maybe she missed.
Pratna Mati, are you back to read? Okay. Shri Radhe Mati, maybe you can go on. Is Hari next?
Sure.
Then come. Yeah.
Maitreya Vacha Vinidyevam Sagirisham Apraptim Avastitam Dakshotapa Sprasya Kuta Saptam Prachakrame. The sage Maitreya continued. Thus Daksha, seeing the Lord Shiva sitting as if against him, washed his hands and mouth and cursed him in the following words.
So here Maitreya is continuing. Maitreya Vacha. Evam, thus, Vinindya. So when Girisha, when Daksha was Nindya, Nindya means abusing or speaking ill of Lord Shiva. Apratipam, apratipam means one who has no enemy. Avasthitam, Shiva, he remained sitting without any hostility. And Atha, now, Apa Upashraya, he washed his hands and mouth, and Krudha, in anger, Chakrame Shaptam, he was ready to curse Lord Shiva. When Daksha, after speaking these ill words, he washed his hands like how they do it. They took water in their hand and he was ready to curse Lord Shiva. Right? Now, what is the key point here? What is the key point in this verse?
I think he's even more agitated because Shiva is sitting quietly and not responding to him.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point that he got even more agitated that Shiva is not responding and coming and falling at his feet and saying, "Oh, sorry, Daksha, I didn't mean to offend you." But what is Shiva's position here? He was actually remained sitting without any hostility. Now, everyone is back. Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So, see, this is a very nice point. Imagine this. Now, what did we read in the starting? And I had mentioned it was important. Who all are there in the assembly? We read in the assembly great rishis, the demigods, the fire gods, all the progenitors. Everyone is there in the assembly and he is blaspheming Lord Shiva in that assembly. Like last weekend we were at Sadhu Sangha. Imagine like someone, on the stage in front of 4,000 people comes on the stage and he starts blaspheming you. What would be our position? Imagine being blasphemed to such an extent where, Daksha is saying, "Oh, you have monkey-like eyes. You do not deserve." Imagine that level of serious blasphemy in front of all the great personalities. And what is the reaction? Lord Shiva was like, undisturbed. This is the sign of an advanced devotee. That when that criticism comes, a devotee is like, he's totally undisturbed. And if you think now, what is going on in the heart of Lord Shiva? One is he's absorbed in Krishna. So it's like, he's already, as we just discussed, that he's always in the bliss of connection with Krishna. So he's not agitated by this. But second thing, a Vaishnava is, when he's blaspheming, what do we think? A true Vaishnava would think, oh, this is actually my true nature. This person has actually found out this is my true position, right? Because a true Vaishnava is, how do we, a true advanced Vaishnava is humble by nature. And the more advanced he is, the more is his level of humility. So if someone is blaspheming, then you'll be like, oh yeah, this is my true nature. You actually recognize my heart. You know what is in my heart. And the third point is, so first point is he's so observing Krishna, right? So that's why he's not agitated. Second is, the more advanced a Vaishnava is, more humble he is. And out of that humility, he accepts that as his true nature. And the third point is, the Vaishnava actually thinks, okay, now everyone knows, all the Vaishnavas here know my true position, and hence they will shower their mercy upon me. That is the thinking of a Vaishnava. And this cannot be artificially faked. It is only when we are advanced to that level will that, we'll have that feeling in our heart. We cannot just fake this. Otherwise, I mean, to know how much we are advanced in spiritual life, we just have to, when we are criticized by someone, we just have to see what's going on in our heart. Immediately what happens? Oh, he does not know. He does not know what situation I was in. Others were there. See, I did better. He does not know. Immediately we go opposite and say, no, I am better than he doesn't know me, and hence he's criticizing me.
But Prabhu, thinking about everybody over there is going to shower blessings on me, that is unheard of, unthinkable, bro.
Yeah.
We know, oh, what do they think of me? Because they heard my blasphemy. We think that way, but
Yeah.
and now they will shower blessing on me. That's wow.
I mean, if you consider that, oh, everyone here is a Vaishnava, that's a vision, because he'll see everyone as a Vaishnava, and a Vaishnava is merciful to the fallen. And like, okay, now they all realize how fallen I am. And because they are all Vaishnavas, they will actually shower their mercy. And if a Vaishnava can think in, if a person can think in such a way, then Krishna is so pleased with him. He's like, I mean, that's like is really a sign of his advancement. So here we see one way the real glory of Lord Shiva is actually exhibited. And that's why initially it is actually shown that who all were present in the assembly. It wasn't just a small assembly. All the great demigods, rishis, everyone is there in the assembly. And in that assembly, this is actually happening. And when I was reading this, I was just thinking of Sadhusanga, right? The 4,000 devotees. Imagine someone takes the mic and starts, saying things against us. What will be our situation? So it's okay. Yes, Rashimati, you have a point? We'll continue next verse.
Yeah, so is this going back to saying, like, if our consciousness is clear, if we know we have not done anything wrong, if we know that we are what we are doing is right by the Shastra, the books, then it should not, what anybody says or does should not affect us. And would that be the right way to look at it in a practical sense?
Yeah. I mean, at one level, okay, that one may think that, okay, because I am on the side of Dharma, whatever I have done is according to scriptures, according to Guru. But even if you see in that point, there is still the conception that, okay, what I did is right. Isn't it? See, beyond that, even higher than that is a conception where it's like the true feeling of humility. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to act in this world. I am so fallen that. And this humility is a gift. It is not something that one can fake. As we progress in bhakti, we get the gift of humility. And in that humility, a devotee will not think that, oh, I did right. Like here, Lord Shiva is not thinking that, oh, I did not stand up, and I did the right thing because I am so advanced. No, he's not thinking that. I mean, that itself says that there is some conception that, okay, I am good, I have done the right thing. But Lord Shiva is beyond that. And his position is like, yeah, That's who, that's who I am. That's who I am. So
there are multiple ways of looking at this. I'm talking on practical, like current, how we can live our life. Um, so sometimes we say what we don't know, right? So nothing affects us because what we don't know, we don't know what somebody's thinking or what they thought we did or whatever. If we don't know, we don't know. And then the other way of doing is whatever we did, we're thinking that, okay, we did it right by everybody.
mhm. Yeah.
That's another way of looking at it. And then those are the only two ways that I can think of. Then there's, of course, the third way, which is, you're doing it by the Shastra, you're doing it by the instructions of your guru, you're doing it by, you're just doing it the right way. And at that time, like, won't you still be thinking that, okay, I did it right or wrong? I'm just trying to think again on practical, on our day to day, how
See,
we live our life.
See, as I said, like, humility is not something that can be fake. So whatever is our advancement in Krishna consciousness, that will be our level of thinking. So yes, maybe at our level we are thinking that, yeah, he's blaspheming me, but actually I just followed the instructions of my guru. My guru asked me to do it, but he does not know about it, and hence he is actually saying so and so.
Right.
And maybe that's
Right.
our level, That's
Okay.
our level. So see, the worst
So
thing to actually do in this situation, if someone is blaspheming, is actually to do tit for tat. You
tit for
did
yeah,
this,
that is wrong.
yeah.
Yeah.
You are saying this. Actually, who you don't know who you are. You are this, 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 this. That is like the worst thing to do, right? But even just silently listening and saying that, okay, what you're saying, that is some anartha in my heart. I have to work on them. You may even feel bad, like, oh, he's chastising me, but actually, there is some truth to it, and maybe that comes, may not be immediately, but maybe later on when we reflect back and say, like, oh yeah, maybe there was some envy in my heart, and that's why he did it. All that is actually signs of our advancement in Krishna, and that we are actually progressing. So I mean, yeah.
Second part to that question would be, okay, we are humble, we have that humility, we accept, or we kind of ponder upon what the person has said or done. How do we take that? How do we make sure that it doesn't affect us negatively?
Yeah.
There are times when you have done the right thing or you don't know what you have done, and then somebody comes up and says, no, you've done blah 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 blah, and it at that moment you are quiet, you take it because you're humble, but then later on it affects, I'm sure it affects everybody in some negative manner or the other. So how do we deal with that negativity? How do we overcome that aspect of whatever has happened, even though we know that we have not done anything wrong to have got this, or we have done it the right way, or we did it unknowingly. And if we did it unknowingly, we are humble, we apologize, we try to make it right. But then if you have felt like you have not done anything wrong and you're still being given that
Yeah. I mean, in that
how
case,
do we accept that?
yeah. See, in that case, like, it is very circumstantial also, in the sense that if someone is saying this, and we know that we did not do it, it's a misunderstanding, and maybe it requires, like, someone who is maybe a neutral senior devotee to come in between and kind of, clarify the whole situation. It may be required, and we may have to, like, maybe reach out to someone else and say, actually, this is what happened, and he thought that I did this because of so and so, but it's just misunderstanding. Can you clarify? Maybe that is required. That's one point, right?
Okay.
Now, the other thing is, okay, if it is just like, two people, and then he's just like one time come and said so and so, at some point we just have
Doesn't
to
matter.
we have to develop that mode of tolerance.
Yes.
I mean, why does Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again and again say, what is the true way we can chant the holy name? Trinadapi Suniche. No, we have to just develop the tolerance. Like, so if it is just like one time someone just, out of, comes and says, oh, this, and we may know that, okay, actually, I was sincere in my endeavor, and, there is something on his or her side that, maybe has triggered this. I just have to tolerate and continue my seva. That the point about like tolerance does not mean that we stop our seva. Tolerance we'll say, okay, whatever I can do for Krishna, I will continue my seva because I cannot leave my seva at any cost. So tolerance and always having the conviction that I will not leave my seva to Guru and Krishna. So
Yeah, I have a question. So when it comes to the tolerance and fault finding, are the standards similar to the people at home? I mean, your own family members and other Vaishnavas in the community or other people? Because sometimes when we say at home, in the light of that things needs to be done correctly, but not in the more light of, you've not done this right, that right. But how do we say?
yeah, I mean, it a lot depends on the relationship. Because at home also, like, as a mother, you are actually a guru for your children, and also like in some cases, maybe the wife is more advanced than the husband, or, it depends. So in that case, there may be some require, it depends on the relationship and what is the relationship and what is your mood. If someone is saying something, oh, you shouldn't do this and so, and if you know that, okay, this is the best thing for our spiritual lives, consider the whole thing as a family, you have to say like, okay, this is not a time for me to just be tolerant, but I need to speak up because this is for the spiritual life of all of us, so it's all on a relationship, and, and we may be like, humble, oh, I'm not a guru, but in those relationships, you may be superior and you may have to take the position of a guru to actually say certain things. But again, Vaishnav dealings is on a different scale. When there's not the biological relationship, then, even if someone may be newer to Krishna consciousness than us, still we actually give them that, oh, no. What he's saying, maybe Krishna is speaking through him. So with family, logistics is a little different, but outside Vaishnav dealings, one needs to develop that mode of tolerance and, things like that. And also many times if there's a conflict between two, it is normally like best to actually get a third senior person to both of them to actually involve to solve the situation, rather than thinking like, oh, I am better than him, I will tell him. If there's a conflict, it's always best to go to a third senior person.
Thank you. I was thinking that in day-to-day life, even in place of work, even if I was sincere in my endeavors, and if I get a criticism, I can think, what is the lesson that Krishna is trying to teach me in this? And how can I improve? And because I'm not the doer, this feeling that, oh, I did so great. I'm not the doer, I'm just the receiver of the mercy of Krishna. Whatever ability I have, that is just a blessing from Krishna. For example, when Arjun was not able to save the kings of Krishna from the coward boys because his ability was taken away when it was not needed. So everything in me is mercy of Krishna. I'm not the doer. What is the lesson Krishna is trying to teach me in this situation? Now, how can I?
Yes, thank you, Mati. Mati, we could understand most of it, but somehow your voice was a little bit in and out. But mostly we could understand what you said, but maybe you have to speak closer to the mic or something like that. But that's okay. You can understand. Thank you. Okay, let's continue. Text number 18. Who's next?
Oh, I think it's me. Sorry. 4 to 18. Avyam tu deva yajnana indropen pendrabdhibhir bhavah saha bhagamna labhatam divir devagana adhama. The demigods are eligible to share in the oblation of sacrifice. But Lord Shiva, who is the lowest of all the demigods, should not have a share. Hare Krishna.
So here is saying Devagana Adhama. What did we say? He is Deva Shreshta. He's actually the best of demigods. But what is Daksha saying? Because he is the lowest of all demigods, I curse him. Bhavam bhagam na labatem. He should not get a portion of these oblations of this sacrifice. In the sacrifice of all the devas, he should not get any oblations of this, right? A part of the sacrifice he should not get. And that was a curse. And Prabhupada and Acharyas very nicely explained that how did Lord Shiva take it? See, even if Shiva had the slightest that, oh, I am a part, I am a demigod, any, false ego, then he would have been like, no, I am here, I should get, I'm not asking for more, but at least I should get. But what was his thinking? Oh, thank you, Krishna. I anyway did not want to take part in all these sacrifices. I am just interested to chant Hare Krishna and dance in ecstasy. Why I have to sit here? Oh, thank you, Krishna. I'm happy. That was Lord Shiva's mood. That's what the acharyas are making the point, right? So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says Shiva is saved from the calamity of taking part of this sacrifice with other materialistic demigods, right? It's just like if you're invited for some yajna and puja, and then at the same time there is a nice kirtan festival going on, and then all of a sudden someone comes and says, you are so horrible, actually you're not qualified to be a part of the yajna. And you'll be like, oh, thank you, I can now go and attend the kirtan. That's the mood. That's what Lord Shiva is thinking, right? So, and in this purport, Prabhupada actually mentions about Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, what Pratna Mataji was mentioning earlier, that he was like so renounced that he used to, sit by the side of a latrine, and where materialist people would not go because of the filth and obnoxious smell. That is how renounced our Acharyas is. And so you see, Prabhupada says he was so great that he was accepted as spiritual master by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur. I mean, you just consider this. Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj was illiterate. And who was Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur? At 7 years old, he was like an encyclopedia of... He basically learned the whole library by heart. It was like a full encyclopedia. 7 years old. He knew all the Bhagavad Gita verses by heart, with purport, with translation, word to word. He knew everything at 7 years old. He actually made the whole science of, like, even our Vaishnava calendar. It's actually all contribution of Bhakti. So learned. He wrote the Surya Siddhanta commentary of Brahma Samhita, that each verse, if you read this commentary, every sentence you need a dictionary to understand what he's saying. And that person took initiation from whom? An illiterate person. And again, why is Prabhupada mentioning? That is the whole theme. Lord Shiva externally may be this, but devotion is the highest. So that's how we see the devotion of a person compared to all external. So this theme is coming again and again in this section. Okay, 19. Who is next?
Hare Krishna. It's me, Prabhu.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, one
Hare
minute,
Krishna.
Prabhu.
That's
I see like many devotees are not in this list also. Gopinath Acharya Prabhu would like to read. I don't think he read that all.
I think that's me, Prabhuji, after Mataji.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying Prabhu is not even on the list, so he never got a chance to read.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
निषिध्यमानस्य मुखेर्दक्षो गिरित्रया विसृज्य शापं तस्माद् विनिक्ष्रम्य विविधमन्योर्जगम् कौरव्य निजं निकेतनम्. Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, in spite of the request of all the members of the sacrificial assembly, Daksha in great anger cursed Lord Shiva and then left the assembly and went back to his home.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is explaining that Daksha is thinking, I do not see anyone except myself who has the intelligence to see right and wrong. That was Daksha's position. So all this assembly, they cannot see Shiva's position. I can see. And I'm not, I don't want to sit with all these people. They don't know what is right and wrong. I am leaving, right? And here it says, Nishidhyamana sadasya mukhe. That means what? all the members of that sacrifice, they said, no, don't go. Or, Prabhupada actually in the translation, they said, don't curse Lord Shiva. I mean, Prabhupada says like, don't curse Lord Shiva. But Vishnacharya Thakur, he making the point that they said like, don't go. You're the head of Prajapati, so please don't go in anger. But either way, he did not listen. And he said like he was extremely angry. He said, I won't sit with all these people. They don't know what is right and wrong. And then he actually went back home. He left. Right? So Prabhupada in the purport, he starts off by making the point, anger is so detrimental that even a great personality like Daksha, out of anger, left the arena where Brahma was presiding, all the great sages, pious saints, everyone was there in the assembly. But he became so angry that he just left that whole assembly. Right? All of them requested, don't leave, don't leave. But he was so puffed up with his exalted position that he thought that no one was greater than him in argument. See, this is what pride does to us. Don't even realize. And, this is not just a Bhagavatam story. I mean, you stay, like, even in our Krishna conscious movement, we see this, Sometimes it's just like, this pride and all that, and like, oh, these devotees don't know anything. I know better than them, And it's something that we all have in our heart. That pride is there in our heart. And because of the pride, all these things. So here, this first Leela of the fourth canto is actually focusing on this aspect of pride, seeing other people, their vision, duplicity, all those anarthas we talked about is really like an eye-opening. Do we have those anarthas in us? And I mean, just if we are honest, we'll be like, okay, yeah, I have this anarthas, I need to work on that. So, and then further, Prabhupada actually makes the point. He was, he did not listen to Brahmaji himself. And then, Prabhupada refers in Bhagavad Gita how Krishna actually makes the point, Trividam narakasyedam dwaram nashanam atmana kama krodha tatha lobhas. Right? Everyone knows this verse? So 3 things are gateways of hell. What is it? Kama, Krodha, Tatha, Lobha. What is it?
Lust, anger,
And greed. Lust, anger, and greed. Right? So anger. So that's the point Prabhupada is saying. Actually, in the purport, Prabhupada makes a very nice point. In that purport to that verse, he actually says that these 3 enemies, he says, everyone must try to give up these 3 enemies. And these 3 enemies kill the self to such an extent that there is no possibility of liberation. Prabhupada is saying they kill the self. These are anger, greed, and lust are so powerful they kill the self in the sense that they cover the Atma, they cover our consciousness in such a way that we forget everything. And here is actually saying, oh, I don't care for all this. Brahma is asking me, I don't care for him. I'm just going. I'm not, these people are not qualified to be in my association. And he left. Right? And then Prabhupada makes another excellent point. Why did these anartha, actually this anger come in him? Because he offended the Vaishnava. Prabhupada is making the point that because he had that offense in his heart to Lord Shiva even from before, that offensive mentality to a Vaishnava manifested externally as this anger, as this pride, etc. And this is also such a powerful point I feel in our spiritual life, that when we maintain some negative attitude towards a Vaishnava, then that negative attitude may manifest in some qualities that we normally don't exhibit. Maybe a person by nature is not angry, but because of that Vaishnava aparad, all of a sudden he may become anger, he may become pride. So again, Prabhupada is saying, therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advanced one to be careful not to offend Vaishnavas. Not to offend Vaishnavas. Because once that offensive mentality is there, all these things will come, cover our consciousness, and we will actually just go away from Krishna consciousness. Right? So, very powerful purport. Okay, text 20. Let's see, anyone else on the group has not read so far? Long Manjari Mataji? Because I think the list was created when few of you were not on the call.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead. Text 20.
It's 20. Vignaya Shapam Girishan Kukaderar Nandishwaro Rosha Kashyaya Dustita Dakshaya Sapam Visasarja Darnunam Ye Chanvam Modhares Tad Avakyatam Vija. Upon understanding that Lord Shiva had been cursed, Nandishvara, one of the Lord Shiva's principal associates, became greatly angry. His eyes became red, and he prepared to curse Daksha and all the Brahmanas present there who had tolerated Daksha's cursing Shiva in the harsh words.
So now what happened? What was Lord Shiva's reaction? He tolerated. But see, when someone is blaspheming a Vaishnava or Guru or someone, then the Guru may just be tolerant. But what is the role of a disciple? Should a disciple be quiet? No. Disciple should immediately speak up. And Nandishwar speaking was right on his path. So this verse is actually saying, understanding that Lord Shiva had been cursed, whose Anuga Agra nahi. He is actually one of the principal associates. Understanding Lord Shiva has been cursed. One of the principal associates of Lord Shiva, who is Nandishwar, Roshak Kashaya. He became anger. It was good. It's right. If someone is blaspheming a Vaishnava, we cannot just be tolerant. On ours, we tolerate. But on someone else, we cannot tolerate. So he became eyes became red, and Daksha Shapam. He be prepared to curse Daksha and Dvijaha and the Brahmanas. All the Brahmanas who had tolerated, actually when Daksha was speaking ill of Lord Shiva, the Brahmanas should have said something and said like, no, you are criticizing a Vaishnava in front of all of us. We cannot tolerate. But the Brahmanas, because they did not say anything, then Nandishwar cursed Daksha and the Brahmana. Right? And then Prabhupada in the purport, he makes this point. It was right for Daksha to actually, not tolerate it. He's a disciple. He's a, servant of Lord Shiva. So he should spoke, but he should not have cursed the Brahmanas. He should not have cursed the Brahmanas. But he actually did that. And that actually led to further cursing by the Brahmanas, and then there was cursing, counter-cursing, and that's what is the rest of the chapter. The rest of the chapter is curses by Nandishwar, and then curses by Bhrigu, and that's how this chapter is. So Prabhupada makes, he should not have cursed the Brahmanas who were involved. But another point here we see is, A is blaspheming B. Now you are standing here. If you don't do anything, you become implicated in that blasphemy. The Brahmanas, they were quiet. Being quiet, they are now implicated that now they will receive the curse of Nandishwara. Okay, text 21. So 3 verses is cursed by Nandishwara.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, go ahead. 21.
21. Yayetanmarchyamudishya bhagavati apratidruhi druhyati ajnah pratidrustis tattvato vumukho bhavet. Anyone who has accepted Daksha as the most important personality and neglected Lord Shiva because of envy is less intelligent, and because of visualizing in duality will be bereft of transcendental knowledge. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So here it says what? The first curse is in this verse. Etat martyam. What is the first thing he's saying? Daksha identified with the body. He saw Lord Shiva from an external point of view. That is his wisdom. He saw from a bodily point of view, right? So Daksha identifying with his body, which is subject to death, he actually, because of that external vision, what did he do? Apratidruhi Bhagavati. He neglected Lord Shiva, who is Bhagavan one way, right? And Druyati Agyaha. And because he bears envy, he is agyaha, he is less intelligent. Therefore, he saw with a vision of duality. Hence, I curse him what? Tatvata vimukha bhavet. May he become bereft of transcendental knowledge and deprived of knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the first curse is Nandishvara is cursing Daksha that he becomes bereft of all knowledge. Because that's how he was. He actually looked from a material point of view. He blasphemed from a material point of view. He neglected Lord Shiva. He acted out of envy, out of less intelligence, from vision of duality, right? Material vision. So hence, let him be bereft of knowledge. Okay, next 22.
Prabhuji, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Two questions actually. In the prior text, you said that the third party who is
Yes.
viewing
Yes. The
should
Brahman.
not be quiet.
Yes.
But how is that different from? Isn't that adding fuel to the fire then? I mean, aren't they taking part in increasing the animosity, the tit for tatness? Like, what is the third party supposed? The third party is not supposed to interfere. Would be the way I would think.
Yeah. I mean, see, the point is like if a Vaishnava is being blasphemed, now our role should be like we should not be in that mood of tolerating that blasphemy. Because we are hearing that blasphemy verse. How can we hear blasphemy of Vaishnava? Vaishnava is so dear to Krishna. Krishna resides in the heart of a Vaishnava. The Vaishnava resides in the heart of Krishna. How can we tolerate those words? So they say, depending on our position, one, we actually say something. And we say like, how can you speak? Like, even the Brahmana, because I just said, Daksha, you are the leader of a Prajapati. We respect you. We offer our obeisance to you. But Lord Shiva, he's a pure devotee. How can, you're saying all this in front of us, we cannot accept it. So, please do not say this. It could be in a very gentle way. It need not be in a tit for tat way, but in a gentle way saying that, no, this is not right. It's not right to blaspheme Lord Shiva. He is a very exalted person. First thing. Second is we leave that place, right? We are like, okay, I'm not in a position to say anything, but I'll not hear it. I will leave that place. Yeah. And then the third thing is you kill that person. So they say like, how just, I mean, that's not like, actually in the sense of actually killing that person, but in the sense that kill that mentality. How can he blaspheme of Vaishnava? That means how blasphemy of Vaishnava is so poisonous that if it goes in our ears, we are getting that poison and we cannot take that poison. That poison, even though we are not saying it, that poison is going to stop our bhakti, going to destroy our own bhakti. So, so that's how serious this offense to a Vaishnava is. Right? So, that point of tit for tat, it need not be tit for tat. It could be in a nice, gentle mood saying that, you're saying to this person, but, with all respect to you, you're the leader, please do not blaspheme. He's a very exalted personality, So that's
So didn't we? Sorry.
The thing is, as Sati will say later, that instead of killing other person, you commit suicide.
So
And that's what Sati did.
That's what Sati did later. Yeah, that is true. That Sati actually, she gave up her body because Lord Shiva was not respected. Yeah. Okay. So the point is, that we shouldn't hear that blasphemy. And so, Rashimati, does that answer your question?
It does in a way, but in the prior things we were saying that if it is a one time or it's like, should we respond at that time? It's one time. It's like the receiver is already taking it as okay. It's just leave it as it is. Just don't go any further. Shouldn't we respect that? Like it.
Yeah, I mean,
probably it's not going to lead to anything. It just doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
It's just
see, the point is that person is tolerating. But the person who is speaking ill, that means his spiritual life is over. And our actually
Right.
interrupting is saving his spiritual life. See, the person who's tolerating, he's anyway like, okay, that's what I deserve. You know what.
Oh, don't go further.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the person who's speaking, like if the Brahmanas would have interrupted, they are actually protecting Daksha from getting that goat head, which he's going to get. Right? They are actually protecting him. So it's the duty of the Brahmanas to protect him, right? Isn't it? So they did not say anything that way. They did not actually protect Daksha, and then which actually led to the further of cursing, counter cursing, etc., which we are going to see further, right? And Brahmanas, it is their duty to actually speak from Shastra. So one way they are not speaking is actually they are not doing their duty, and particularly when it is such a serious offense. Such a serious one. It's not just any ordinary like blaspheming Lord Shiva, with like saying the monkey eyes, and it's like so serious offense. Like they should have done, and because they did not, here, this is a curse which will come further. Next verses will tell what is the curse on them.
And one more question was just a clarification. In text 21, we are seeing how Nandishwara is cursing that anybody that supported Daksha
Yeah.
would be bereft of transcendental knowledge. So because Daksha is he creates progeny, right? And everybody's come from him. So is that why we see that all the souls are now don't have this transcendental knowledge of the actual soul and the supreme? Is that one
that
of the
is-
reasons?
Our main reason is because we are the false ego.
Looked away.
Yeah, we have turned away from Krishna and we are covered by Maya. That's why we don't know, right? But now, actually, Prabhupada in the later verses, like, see, first 3 verses is directly to Daksha. Then 2 verses or 2 or 3 verses are to the Brahmanas, right? Particular verses. And in that verses, Prabhupada actually explains that curse to the Brahmanas we see even today. How the Brahmanas, they are actually no longer pure. They actually, and the curse is basically like the Brahmanas, they will do austerities just so that they can get some money, some prestige, and maybe we see us seeing that in Kali Yuga. So Prabhupada relates it to today's thing. But yes. Yes.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so I think we'll have to stop here. So we'll continue with text number 22 and 2 curses. And then this whole chapter is like cursed by Nandishwar, cursed by Bhrigu. And that's how the chapter ends. Right? And then we'll continue with chapter 3 next session. So thank you all so much for your association. So we'll end here. Grantarashram Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubheva cha, patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo.
Namo namaha. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I hope this was like, please think about these points, that how this 4th canto is bringing this whole, what the false ego, pride, envy, what does it actually do to our spiritual life? And we can meditate, we can be introspective and see how we have these anarthas to a greater or smaller extent, and how we have to be, deal with these anarthas, how we can actually get rid of these anarthas. So we'll discuss further next time. Okay. Thank you so much for joining. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
you.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So much.